What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Today we're going to talk about the C8 Corvette Z06, the fact that it just showed up in some spy shots, and the fact that it is showing off some new features that we haven't seen before. Alright guys, so just yesterday we were talking about the C8 Corvette Grand Sport likely being called the E-Ray instead, and on the website carbuzz.com that reported on that, they also showed us some new spy shots of the C8 Corvette Z06. It's always interesting to see the new Z06 in spy shot form, but the pictures that CarBuzz showed us were kind of plain in comparison to the new Z06 pictures we just got as of yesterday. Now, when I say plain, I mean the car is wrapped up. There's not a whole lot to see. It doesn't look much different than your typical C8 Corvette. The wheels are hidden to hide what the wheel actually looks like, which in turn also hides the brake setup, so we're not able to see any kind of rotors or caliper setups. There's no spoiler on the car. There's nothing interesting or different on the front or rear bumpers, but you could tell it's not quite a base C8. There's a little something different. It's probably the width, the bigger tires, but outside of that, it looks pretty plain. Like I said, I always like to see these spy shots, so it doesn't really matter that it's not exactly sporting all the great things, but at the same time, we get some new pictures as of yesterday. So our friends over at Corvette Blogger actually posted up some pictures that were sent to them by someone who chose to remain nameless. Now, before you guys say anything, I know. For some reason, whenever we're about to see something really fantastic, you have to take a picture of it with the worst possible camera on the planet. This is no exception, so the C8 Corvette Z06 spotted in the wild has what I can only refer to as the lowest possible resolution camera I have ever seen in my life. But at the same time, it does give us a good look at some new features that the C8 Z06 may be coming with. So right off the bat, guys, we have seen this rear spoiler before. It actually looks a little bit better in this photo, but I'm still kind of unsure of how I feel about it. In general, it's kind of different. But I can tell you one thing, and that is that the C8 Corvette needs a bigger spoiler, so this is definitely a good first attempt at it, I guess, but I'll reserve final judgment for when I see this thing in the flesh. But we've seen the spoiler before, so that's not anything new. We have talked about the spoiler in a previous video, talking about its kind of awkward look. It was also camo wrapped, whereas in this picture, it appears to be exposed carbon flash, so there's no wrapping on it that I can tell. But again, with the lowest quality possible picture, it's a little hard to determine for sure. Either way, it gives us a very clear view of what that spoiler is going to look like, but that's not where the fun stops. Let's dive into what we can really get out of this picture and what options this car is very likely to see. Now, like I said, in the past, we have seen the C8 Corvette Z06 with the giant plates that are covering the wheels. Now, that serves a couple different purposes. Like I said, it completely blocks what the wheel is going to look like. It also blocks what the brake setup is. So with the Z06, there is a very good chance we're at least going to have the option for carbon ceramic rotors, just because we had the option with the C7 Z06. So it's very likely that will return here as well. So GM is fairly smart in the fact that they cover up the wheels to also cover up that brake option. So you're not really sure what it is you're looking at. This one is a little more unwrapped, so it kind of gives us a little bit more information as to what this car is going to come with. So diving into the pictures a little bit, the first thing I want you guys to take a look at is the wheels. So we get a very clear look at what these wheels are going to look like. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, the C8 Corvette has been an absolutely fantastic car, but the one gigantic complaint I've always had about it is the wheels. They just didn't seem to fit the cool factor of the C8. These ones, on the other hand, they look a lot better. So right off the bat, I could tell the front ones and the rear ones seem to have a very concave appearance to them, which tells me they are going for a sporty look. They're going for a wide wheel in the front and rear. And I love the design of this way more than I did for any of the C8 base model options. Now, of course, we've also talked about the fact that the C8 Z06 is likely to get a carbon fiber wheel of some kind. So if I had to guess, that is going to be reserved for the Z07 package. And it's a completely different looking wheel than what we see in this picture here. Now, both of them are actually very nice looking wheels though, so I'm very happy that GM is learning from the mistakes with the base C8 and kind of moving on. I love that evolution, and it's definitely apparent here. These wheels appear to be just black, but odds are good we'll probably get a carbon flash painted option, or these could possibly also be a carbon fiber wheel design as well. I can't tell. Obviously, the picture is pretty low resolution, but regardless, I like the design of the wheel, and that by itself speaks volumes. Now, what we can look at again with the wheel is a little bit of the rotor we can see behind the wheel. Again, very low resolution, so I can't say for sure, but the rotors definitely appear to be larger, which is normal. The car has more horsepower. It's going to need more rotor to stop that car, but they also kind of have a carbon ceramic look to them. So there is a good chance what we're looking at here in this picture is a carbon ceramic rotor setup on this particular C8 Z06 test mule. For those of you who don't know, I have owned a C7 Z06 with the Z07 package and now currently own a C7 ZR1, both of which were optioned out with the carbon ceramic brake setup. And I absolutely love it. The braking response is fantastic. The lack of brake dust is awesome. It's just a great option to have. So I really hope that that option makes its way back to the C8 Z06 as well, even if it's in the Z07 form. Regardless, I'm not sure which one of the two variants we're looking at here, but it definitely looks like it has at least an enhanced braking setup, and I would have to imagine, if these are not carbon ceramic rotors, that it will be an option for the Z07 package at least. The next really interesting bit of information this picture shows us is up at the front bumper. We clearly have what looks like some sort of aerodynamic wickers or dive planes. Now, these are clearly wrapped with the camo to kind of try to hide them, but at this angle you can see there is definitely some sort of wicker happening there on the front bumper that would kind of lead me to believe that what we're looking at here is a Z07 packaged car. The only reason I say that is because with the C7 Corvette Z06, the upgraded Aero did not include any kind of front canards until you got to the Z07 package. Now, of course, that is just based on what has happened in the past. I don't know for sure if the same thing will be happening here, but GM has seemed to have followed pretty much everything from the C7 lineup with the C8 so far. So I would be willing to bet we're probably looking at a Z07 packaged car here, or at least something that is testing some Z07 package options. Now, for those of you not familiar with the dive planes, they will give you obviously more downforce on the front of the car, thus making it a better track performance car. Obviously, the same goes with the rear spoiler. They're looking for downforce at this point to make sure that that thing stays planted on the track, which is exactly where the Z06 is going to want to live because of the flat plane crank engine that is rumored to be in this car as well. With the 9,000 RPM redline, it is going to be an absolute track monster. So seeing these track options is not a huge surprise, but this is the first time we've gotten to see them in the flesh. One more thing we can clearly see by looking at these wheels is the tires. So the sidewalls being real smooth looking like that tells me without a doubt that is at least a Sport Cup 2 Michelin tire, which is of course going to offer the best possible grip. Now, there were rumors that this car was going to get the Sport Cup 2 Rs. I can't tell from the photos again, but they are at least the Sport Cup 2s. Now again, if I had to guess, the base Z06 is likely to come with the Sport Cup 2 tires, and then the Z07 package car will likely come with the Sport Cup 2 Rs. Based on what I'm seeing in this photo here, we are getting at least the Sport Cup 2 tires for the Z06. So the last thing in this photo that we see that definitely separates this car from the base model C8 Corvette is the rear bumper. So what we can see of the rear bumper, and it's mostly shaded, is those rear grills that allow the heat from the engine bay to escape. So right off the bat, they look like they're shaped differently. They are at least squished down smaller, while possibly being a little wider as well. The only reason I could see that they would change the shape of those rear heat exit areas would be if the entire diffuser in the rear is different as well. Now, we've seen some spy shots showing what looks like the Z06 with a center exit exhaust as well, and this one doesn't appear to have a center exit exhaust, but there is definitely a different shape of that rear heat exhaust area of the rear bumper. So something is different with this rear bumper. It's very hard to make out because of how shaded the picture is and how low resolution it is, but something's different there. With the Z06 being more performance oriented, requiring more downforce and requiring more aerodynamics in general, it would not surprise me if the rear bumper of this car had a much better setup as far as the diffuser is concerned. But with some of the previous spy shots that we've seen showing a center exit exhaust, there is a good chance the rear bumper is going to be kind of different in shape anyway, and that is where I see the biggest change in this photo, at least, is those rear heat exits. Now, I can only see the one on the driver's side, but it definitely does not look as big as it does on the base model C8. Now, in this picture, it's very hard to tell, but it does kind of look like the side skirt on the car might also be a little bit different. Again, when we're talking about the aerodynamics of the car, the side skirts are very important as well. And you guys know with the C8 Corvette, the base model does not come with any specific side skirt setup unless you optioned it very specifically that way, and only a few cars were actually able to get that option. So with the Z06, it's more likely to be a standard style side skirt for the extra aerodynamic needed to keep the car planted. It's hard to tell in the picture, so I don't really want to say anything for sure, but it does kind of look like there might be an extra side skirt there over the base model C8. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. So if you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the C8 Z06 and these pictures that I'm sharing with you from the CorvetteBlogger.com, please let me know down in the comment section below and I'll make sure you get an answer. We are getting very close apparently though, because even the CorvetteBlogger.com says that we are getting more and more leaks of the C8 Z06 every day. So GM must really want us to start seeing this thing and start hyping it up. I have no problem doing that because the Z06 is the C8 that I've been waiting for, and this car is shaping up to look freaking awesome. Anyway, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I'm going to have loads of C7 and C8 Corvette content coming you are not going to want to miss. And as always, I will catch you in the next upload.